A little windy out here, like it's gonna blow me away. See what I got? That's for finishing up our stand. Good afternoon. Hi there, folks. I'm Slick, and I'm here in the shed. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We do fun things in the shed, like building engine run stands or fixing up old cars to get them going again. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So, in continuation from our previous video, part 1 of the engine run test stand build, this is now part 2. We're picking right up from where we left off. You see, as I was bringing in the intro, that I have our 5/8 all thread rod, and I have that to go with my 5/8 by 11 thread pitch nut. And I have cleaned up our runners on the longest sides of our test stand. So at this point, what we'll be doing is measuring up, see how long we want the 1x1 square tube to be to sit on top of that, and that'll help me determine how long I want my all thread rod sections to be. The sections of the 1x1 square tube and the sections of the all thread rod should together extend the engine up to a suitable working height for me personally. I think that having the engine sit about mid-chest height for me and having our gauges extend up just a little bit above that, perfect. So let me do a couple quick measurements and then we'll get into it. Okay, what is the height of the engine as it sits? To the top of the engine is about 38 inches. So what is the distance from the bottom of our motor mount to approximately where the top of the engine would be? I don't know. Call it 14 inches. What did I say, 38? 38 and 14. So maybe a better measurement actually. Let's measure from the floor to the bottom of our motor mounts, because that's really what we're looking for, right? Let's call it 26 inches off the ground. From the floor to the bottom of my stand right now is what? 20, oh wow, no kidding, huh? About 28 right there. No, a little less. 27 and a half, call it. So this is 3/16 thick. Let's go from the bottom of our wheel to top of our tube here. Woohoo! We're at about 10 inches. So we do 10 and 3/16. So to the top of this, we're at 10 and 3/16, right? And then from here, I'm gonna have the square, like the bottom of the square tube's probably gonna be at the 1 inch mark, because maybe I'll make 4-inch pieces of flat stock, 4-inch tall pieces of flat stock to sit here. These are the loose figures, of course. Making it up as we go here. All right. 1 foot sections of square tube and 4-inch tall by 1.5 inch. 4-inch tall by 1.5 inch wide sections of flat stock. That'll be fine. So I had a nice 1.5 inch wide section of 1/8 inch flat, but I didn't want to use 1/8 inch thickness for this. I figured since they're going to be such short lengths and they're going to be helping hold such a heavy load, that they need to be it needs to be a thicker piece. So we had a section of 1/4 inch laying around. There's a difference for size comparison. And I'm just going to use, since this is 1.5 inch wide, that's how wide I want it, I'm going to use it as my template. And I will make 4-inch sections. Do I use a cutoff wheel? Hey, how we doing, folks? Back in the shed for another period of working on part 2, engine run stand. I forgot to recap before I left off yesterday. I was in a bit of a conundrum as to how to cut that 1/4 inch flat stock to fit our little narrow space, go on our sliders, right? So we can bolt everything together. I was thinking, oh, well, could use the cutting torch. You can be precise enough with that. I've read, you know, up to like a 1/16 of an inch. That's if you actually know what you're doing. And but I'm a little concerned with how our cutting torches function these days. Just the regulators are they're aged a bit. I just noticed the last time that I used it, I turned everything off in the proper procedure and that thing was still popping back at me. Might just need the tip cleaned. I don't know what it is, but considering I just have to do 2 cuts, right? Well, let's figure out a better solution here. So you got other options, like if you had a bandsaw. We don't. If you wanted to spend a whole lot of time using cutoff wheels on an angle grinder, if you don't know what they are. Here, how about I just throw it up on screen? That's easier for you. There, that's what a cutoff wheel on a grinding angle grinder would look like. You could use that. You might run through several of them, and it might take you a while to get through the size of material that I'm trying to get through. And I come to decide that the best solution is get one of these bad boys. Diablo! Reciprocating saw blades. Reciprocating saw in general, but especially with a Diablo blade. Diablo, look, this is not me just promoting Diablo brand stuff, but the quality of the products speak for themselves. On any single piece of equipment that I have ever used, if you throw a Diablo blade on there, slices through whatever you're trying to cut through like butter. And the stuff does last quite a while. So yeah, it might have cost 20 bucks for one blade, but I guarantee you it's going to do what I want it to do, and it's going to do what I want it to do many times over. So enough yip yap, skippity tap. Let's get into it. Bada bing, bada. Oh, I'm a rambling man. Yeah. There, it's secure. Yeah. Let's get this set in the way that I want it to be. We're gonna see if I can cut a straight line. Somebody put in the comments, would a plasma cutter, I know it would be a worthwhile investment. Would it cut any smaller than, or more precisely than a cutting torch would? I wouldn't know. Oh, I'll plug it in first. That'll do it. If it sounds like somebody's banging on top of the roof very lightly with 1,000 tiny hammers, it's the rain. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, I guess it wasn't as secure as I thought it was. Before I just destroy the entire piece. Cole, how'd you goof that one up? I don't ask, man. If I knew already, I'd tell you. Yeah, right there. How about now? Learning as I go. Shaking the absolute daylights out of me. Yep. Whatever, man. Relax now. Give me it back. It started to on me a little bit. It's part of the problem. So be smart here, Cole. just imagine this was cleaner than it actually turned out to be. I mean, it worked, okay? Wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. Hey, you know, beggars and choosers and all that, all right? All right, well, I could do it again. One sec. Hey, as always, if you were looking for precise, you watched the wrong video. Maybe someday, but not today. Hey, Cole, at this point, why even mark it? I don't know. Practice. You can never have too much practice. Might chew up the side of my soap zone. Not as bad as you'd think. There's a marking on my side, so I can see what's going on here. You don't need to see that. I need to know where to cut, not you necessarily. There we go. Okay. Huh? Ain't too shabby, man. If I would have just done it this way the first time. Ta-da! There's probably a better way to do that, but that's the way I thought about doing it, so. Yeah, this one turned out much better. Much better. Still not perfect, but there. Smallest piece is larger than the square tube, so that's all that matters. All right, let's clean it up and weld them to our sliders, runners, whatever. Those things. I put the hearing protection back on because it seemed like a smart thing to do. Nice and smooth. Now, since I'm cutting, I should cut some of that all thread. We'll cut this on the chop saw, I guess. Figured that I'm gonna cut two approximate, like 8-inch sections. I found some 1-inch square tube already cut out, laying on the bench. And I have two pieces that are 16-inch long. And so I figure if I cut two 8-inch sections of this all thread, that can thread in, thread out, you know. I have up to 8 inches if I need it, which I wouldn't want to go a full 8. There'd be too much force applied to this rod. But I think this is all going to generally work out the way I intend it to. Now I figured the way to do this, if I was going to cut it on the chop saw, is since I just had something laying down here, just like if you were going to put something soft that you didn't want to damage in the vise, there's a piece of wood, a little paint stick laying around here that I don't know what Gramps was using this for. Put that in between so I'm not smashing up our threads. Heck of an idea, isn't it? Yeah, right there, right there. One more time. Oh. Why are you so close to me? For anybody curious, This is not galvanized, by the way, if I didn't already say that. It's plain finish. So for cutting and welding purposes, this is not going to give off any toxic fumes, where if you were to weld something that was galvanized, people say that you can weld it, you just have to grind off the finish. But I don't want to chance it, so I just bought some plain finish steel rod. Yeah, did I have to special order it? Sure did, but worth it because you don't want to chance it for your health. So I'm going to throw a rag around this rod before I throw it in the vise to clean it up again, so that I'm not destroying the threads. If you over tighten it, you're still going to goof something up, so don't do that. Yeah, feels good. Did I already get the other side? Sure looks like I did. Something like that, but the nuts welded on top, of course, right? And then this secured with a bolt between the two pieces of flat stock. That makes sense? You'll see it come together. I need a crisp 16 here, Chief. All right, cool. Found some, what is this, grade A53 steel pipe, 1/2 inch, that I'm gonna use for its pipe, round tube, I mean, same, you know what I'm saying? I have got one of our motor mount bolts right here for measurement, but if we wanted to do like 3.5 inch piece of pipe on each side, that'd be fine. So I'll cut a 7-inch piece. Okay, let's go clean this up. Got shards of metal all over me. All over me. You know what I forgot? Forgot that I need to cut this in half. What am I doing? Well, at least I can get these two sides done while I'm right here. All right, we're back. Got it into smaller sections. I'm gonna clean her up real quick. Do a little fit on the motor mount, because that'll give me a little sense of relief. It's encouragement that you're on the right path. Oh, I hear the elves beating on top of the shed with their hammers. Always makes it sound like it's raining a whole lot harder than it really is out there. I bet you it's just drizzling. Spitting, if you will. That's what Grandma would say. Yeah. Side cutters. Okay, that one wasn't stuck in there too far. That's good. Yeah, man. All right, let's go test fit one time. Come with. Here's our piece of pipe, round tube. Where's the difference? I mean, I'm not the smartest, but I can tell that they don't look a lot different. Oh, yeah. Cool. Well, that's what I need. All right, well, we're on the right track. Let's get it put together. There you go. Now you can get up and close, but you're also not right in my way. I think that works for all of us. Okay, so that's a good 4. That's a good 4. This whole arrangement that we got going here is not tacked down, mind you. I'm just holding this all together loose. It's a 1-inch square tube, and 2 1/4-inch pieces. So yeah, it's 1.5 inch, and I've got a 2-inch bolt. Should have went with like 2 1/4 if they had it. I don't think they did though. I need to be able to drill holes through these plates, and the best way to do that would maybe to have these, you know, sit mocked up where I want them, and then I'll come through, mark on my runner where I want them to sit, and then mark where I want my bolt to go through, punch them with a transfer punch, drill them out, come back over here. Same thing with the square tube. Come back over here, we'll grab the square tube, find out where we want to position that on this plane, really in between these 2 pieces of flat stock. Mark where we want the hole, punch it, drill it, come back over here, we'll tack these down, and then we'll secure it, and then we'll start working our way up. Approximately. Okay, let's punch these and drill these. I'll bring the punch over here and punch them so I don't lose them marks. Okay. Okay, let's get this cleaned up. Big iron. He's here to do some business with a big iron on his hip. A big iron on his hip. Okay, so now in retrospect, the easier way to have done this would have been to take one, decide where you want to drill your hole at, drill it, then set this up here, both of them. You could hold a magnet up on one, you could clamp it down, however you want to do it. Hold the other one though up, take your transfer punch, throw that through this first hole, have something to back this, and then make sure you're dead on, and there you go, transfer your hole that way, and then you can come back, everything would be perfectly straight, yada yada. I can still make this fit, it'll be fine, but yeah, there was a better way to do it. I'm a little bit more concerned about the other side at this point. All right, let me tack something down. Be a perfect time for a paint marker. 1 inch mark. So you can see that where 1 inch is at, so that I know when I'm fitting this up, that's where I want the bottom of my square tube to sit. So for fitment purposes, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Let's go drill through these. Camera shut off on me because it ran out of battery. So you're just gonna have to trust me that the holes are drilled as I said they would be. We're just gonna clean these bars up quick. All right, let's go see if these will fit on there like they should. Where's the nuts at? Huh? Not too shabby. That's it. That's the whole point. Okay, so now we need to get in there and secure these down. Might clean this one up quick, but past that, I'm pretty happy. Okay, in the interest of time, you could tell this is straighter than it was. Okay, did not remake it, did straighten it out, threw some spacers in there. May not be exactly how you do it, but this will get the job done. And I promise you, considering I went through the effort of straightening this and I saw how the welds performed, this will be just fine. This is overkill, I think. All right, that said, I burned through my time for today, so we will pick up here where we left off next time. Rise and shine. Good morning, folks. Slick in the shed. We're back for our next period of working on the stand. Let's pick up where we left off. Get nuts welded to the top of these square tubes, and then we'll take our all thread. Let's cut to length and whoop, thread those in there, and then weld our round tube to the top. And then maybe we can start to mock fit an engine on top of that thing. That's weird. All right, let's do it.
Didn't think I'd be out and about this early, did you? Pointy.
I guess.
These are pointy. These aren't. Oh wait, that's still pointy there.
Sorry. So I bought plain finish materials to weld, with exception to these larger hex nuts, which is I got 5/8 all thread, so it's a 5/8 nut. Like I said, it would take a 15/16 wrench. Came in like a black oxide finish, which you could, I hear, weld through. It's really just like a metal tempering. However, to make a good of a connection and weld as we can, it's recommended to just grind this off, the finish. But it's not something like welding through galvanized where it would let off toxic fumes and hurt you. So that was the idea. And we will use all 4 of these. All right, off to the welder. Need a magnet real quick. Okay, if we weld that up right there, we're good. Should have rolled my sleeves down, but I will for the next one. Weird, it burns a little bit. How'd that happen? Make sure we're threading in and out like we're supposed to. Nice. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but she'll do what I need her to do. Oh, sorry about that. Nudged her. I think that's right where we need her to be. Noise. Not perfect, but we weren't going for perfect. But that's welded on there. Now we need to put our round tube on top. I gotta grind one of the sides of our round tube to make a good weldable finish. Part of the question is going to be, Cole, how are you going to have that set on top of that rod while you're welding it in there? I think I could still use the magnet. We'll find out. Like so. Maybe 2 magnets, 1 on each side, and then I'll tack it on the opposite ends. Yeah, that'll work. And a good save by Cole. If I haven't told anybody yet, I might have in my intro, I'm not sure that I remember. Slick is what my grandma calls me. Ever since I've known her, ever since I've been a little kid. Sometimes, I mean, she'll call me Cole, but majority of the time she's seeing me for the first time in a while, it'll be, hey there, Slick. And there you go. Paying homage to Grandma, because I love her to death. Yeah. You only don't know how to do something until you do. You just gotta try. What's the worst that happens? You fail. Just try again. Perfect. That's perfectly not perfect. That's fine. It's perfectly average. Getting a little high center there, Chief. Bring it down. Oh, I can't see. I just can't see a thing. These glasses aren't for show. What is it going to be like when I'm 50? Oh. Yep. Those magnets are the kind of item that make you sit and think, I really wish I would have thought of that. Whoa. All right. Clean her up. Lose your snips. we're probably at the point to where it might even be easier for me to weld all this on the ground instead of sitting up like it is. So why don't we do that? Because then I can just roll up to it with a chair. Let's see if we can do one of these maneuvers. That's a good thing about having it on wheels, I guess. Ah, not too shabby.
I'm gonna go see the girls real quick, and then I'm gonna go weed eat, and then I've got plans with your wife. So.
Well, come on. Oh, for crying in the rain. Yeah. Why isn't that welding? Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. A little warm, a little warm. All right, let's let this one cool down though. But I think we're good otherwise. Okay, so now since those are done, they're ready to be able to try to bolt up to an engine. What I want to do, I think, is move the 289 out of the way, and then I'll show it to you in a second. Throw the plate that's on top of the 289 for the engine crane onto this 302 that we took out of the 64.5. I'm gonna have to take the engine mounts off of that 289, throw them on that 302, because I'll show you quick. The way that they secured the 302 into that 64.5 is a little, I'd call it hokey. Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna have to do some shimmying around here, a little rearranging. I really do love that that thing has some nice wheels. You can take that thing anywhere. Almost, anyway. Okay, first thing, let's take our engine mounts off. So we have those ready. I could use hand tools as well, but I mean, how fun is that? All right, now I'm gonna wanna take that plate off the top so I can throw it on the other engine. Okay, I need to get these carbon mounting studs out. So what we'll do, same technique that I most recently did on the 79 Fox body Will It Run video. Put a link above me, and you can see it. I'm jamming two nuts together essentially, so that they lock together, and then once those are locked together, I should be able to latch onto the bottom-most nut here, turn that, and turning that will turn this carb mounting stud, which is just screwed in there, be able to turn it right out, or spin it out. There we go, it's turning the whole thing. No, it's not, it's just turning the top nut. Cool. Let's take this off then. Slide up and out. Okay, then, where's my juice? Take a little bit of fluid. Then our last step, if they still won't spin out, is to heat them up. When in doubt, and if you can fit them, grab a bigger pair of vice grips. There's usually always a bigger pair. Yeah, she's going. Release. There. There's no reason why it should be this tight. Slow going. swing it. Penetrating fluid worked. I think that's what helped save us. Jeez Louise. Alright. Enough of that. Let me, since we have the opportunity, vacuum the crud off the top of this engine first before we do anything with it. Alright, cool. Now, let's throw our plate on. Okay, let's clear an area here, get this bad boy up and moved. I can show you how janky the old mounts look, and we'll take those off and put the new ones on so we can get this thing aligned and halfway mounted onto the new stand. Why does it have to be like that? Okay, now we can lift it. Oh, I forgot the transmission was connected to this. Dang it. Well, that's fine. That's fine. We'll take it off. Well, you can watch me do that real quick. Take the transmission off first. Hope this is a good angle for you. Oh yeah, it looks like it. Let's get up close and personal here. So then, what we want is to keep the bell housing on, and we really just would like to disconnect the case itself. However, if you'll remember from when we were screwing around with the C4 transmission, this is a C4 transmission, we were screwing around with the C4 transmission from Sally to disconnect this bell housing from this case. There's a set of bolts on the inside. So easiest thing to do at this point, I suppose, is just disconnect the transmission, like I was saying. And we'll, for test purposes, we can use Sally's C4 trans bell housing with this 302 engine. Need to put something down here to support the tail housing. You know what I'm saying? Burn? Know what I mean, burn? Start doing some disconnecting. Bolts released. For all intents and purposes, it's disconnected, but what we would need to do is I'm going to tap all along where the bell housing meets up with the block, and especially on the sides here, there's two metal dowels. They're alignment dowels that would align the transmission's bell housing, and just in general, but the bell housing up with the rear of the block so that you can slide them in a little easier with one another. But those will all get kind of seized together, so you want to shock them best you can, and then just tap around here to kind of loosen everything up, and essentially you should be able to free it up that way. And if I need to, I'll get a little bit of a pry bar in there, or whatever you need to do to get it off. I'd also say this would be a great time for if you wanted to use a dead blow hammer. It's not as effective if you're trying to do this when it's still in the vehicle, of course, because you don't usually have enough room to be able to throw with a hammer, but right here is where one of those alignment dowels is, somewhere right in here. There's one on either side, so here, here. There, I see a separation already, so she might be free. There, that separation right there lets me know that I'm thinking she's pretty much free. Hold on though. I would have to lift this up and make sure that I take off our torque converter bolts. I need to disconnect that. Hold on there. So let's do that. Let's take our inspection plate off first. There you go. You get the best view of all. There, you're looking at the inspection plate. That greasy, dirty inspection plate. Those look like 9/16. I'm wrong. 1/2 inch. Yeah, it was the grease and dirt. Oh, let's give her one of these. Okay, try again. Yeah. Love my ratchet and wrenches. It's like no room in here. Good. Jeez. Okay, let's take that cover off. Should just slide off. Bet you I just need to come up just a little. And this is slid behind the, what you would call the block separator plate. That's right here. You can't see it well because of all the gunk that's on it, but separate piece of metal that's a plate in between the back of the block and the transmission bell housing. Enables a bit of a separation, kind of like a metal gasket, if you will, between the two surfaces to, you know, cinch up to one another. So let me take this up a bit and we'll slide that plate out. Then we disconnect the torque converter bolts because the torque converter is bolted to the back of the, I guess you call it either the flex plate or the flywheel, the large gear that is on the back, the toothed gear that is on the back of the engine, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to quick zip in a couple more of those bell housing bolts just to hold this for a second while I jack this up. This is going to be at a bit of an angle while I'm going to work under and disconnect the torque converter bolts. Now we're going to come up a bit, enough so that I can lift this off. Get that inspection plate out. See, I don't know if you heard it, but it just fell right out. There. That's all we needed, really. There you go. You ought to be able to see what's going on there. All right, what size is that? What does that look like to you? Try 9/16 first, huh? Spin the engine on the crank pulley over just a bit further so I can get better access to that torque converter bolt. Oh, I'm right in front of your face too. I'm so sorry. What in the heck? Let me get a bar on this. Whew. I don't remember them being that tight. There. Stinker. There. There's one. There's either like 4 or 5 of those. All right, that's either the last one. There's one more. That's it. That's all. Okay, so we got all the torque converter bolts out. Now we should be able to snag the bell housing bolts out again and get this thing separated. So the alignment pins right there and right here. I believe that's part of what's holding us up. That's free. Back up and out of the way. Got it. Oh, why are you making a fool out of me here? What are you holding on to, little fella? Right up here at the top? Is that it? Well, you're gonna come down. Oh, it's still just stuck on the dowels, I think. Don't put your fingers anywhere, it's gonna get pinched. I'm not telling you that, I'm just reminding myself. Come on, bud. Almost. Why does it still seem like it's stuck together? It's the block separator plate. I feel like a goof. It's fine. Everything's fine. All right. Come look. You see that right there? That's what's holding our entire operation up right there. Yep, that's just my lack of experience. Well, here's what it is. Fine. Set this back down so there's not a huge load on it. Need to move and readjust this plate so I can set the engine back down. Take that out. Do it again. Goofy, goofy, goofy. Not one of Ford's better designs in my opinion. Maybe there's a better reason for this. I'm just frustrated. See? That's why we keep our hands clear too, just to be safe. Okay, now this is disconnected. Let's test if my theory is true about the engine stand, or the engine crane being able to slide right under the engine stand. Yeah! Okay, I do have to adjust these slightly though. We'll have to do that, and we'll have to come in sideways. We'll have to find a best way to do it, but this will work. Let me show you the goofy way that these current engine mounts are set up, and then I'll take them off and swap them out so we can try to do a quick fit on this so I know how to build the rest of the stand, at least the last little bits. Get our starter wire out of the way for you. You see that? So that's how the one for the 60, this is a 302, right? We think it's from a 70 something. I haven't checked the codes on the block, but this was sitting in the 1964 and a half Mustang. Now I know that the 67s and 68s had a wider engine bay, and I don't know if that means that the engine mount system was just a little bit different, but it looks as though this is a stock engine mount from the 68. You can see bolt. This will bolt up just fine and work as is intended, but it would appear almost as though it's like somebody just cut off where that used to sit and they fashioned up their own mount. I don't know, somebody tell me, is this closer to how the older, the 64 64 and a half, 65, 66. How their engine mounted up in there, I don't know. It looks homemade to me. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong then. Let's get these out. These are 5/8. This oil filter. What does it say? SIEG? S-I-E-G? SIEG? I don't know. Never heard of it. Yeah, no clue. Literally never heard of that before. So somebody educate me on that. What is that? When did they go out of business? Okay, let's put the other engine mounts on. Sorry, I'm in your way there. What's up, Gramps? See what I got going on here? Huh? This is the 302. Okay, so fixed is a strong word, but I have made it work, I believe. There we go. Phew. Let's let a little bit of that tension off that engine. Start to see what she looks like settled out. Let's do this. I got one side that's all the way out this way, and I got one side that's straight up and down. See, that side's just gonna have to come over a little bit. We're picking up the whole stand now. You know, how am I gonna know which way I want this to go? Okay. That's exactly why she needs support in the back, though, is that these are not designed to be the primaries, you know? Those are really supposed to just help stabilize. A primary portion of support is also going to come from the H-frame bracket that we're gonna build for the rear here. And that's about the height that I really want it to be. So let's build our H-frame to fit this. So what I want then is a couple pieces of 2-inch square tube to be welded, to be cut to, I don't know, maybe 4 inches or so. Somewhere between 2 and 4 inches. I'll cut and weld, you know, like one here approximately. And then we will get the 1-inch square tube to fit that, or maybe something just a little bit larger to fit just inside of it to be able to slide in, and that way you can take it on and off kind of thing. So I can take that out of the way and be able to slide the engine in. I'll do the same thing for the other side. Do that for both sides. Let's start with that and we'll keep moving. Makes you feel good though, doesn't it? on each of my short sides, I'm going to cut 3-inch sections. So there'll be 4 3-inch sections of this square tube, which is, I don't even know what size it is. It's 1 1/4. There you go. 1 1/4 square tube. That'll get welded in in 4 areas, 2 on each short side. There you go. Clean these up. Unnecessary step, but I think it looks nice. Okay, so now what I'm talking about here is throwing square tubes here, about yay, like this, you know, but taller, of course, so that we can bolt that H-frame up to our bell housing. And let's clean up this area and weld these pieces of square tube in. Before I go ahead and do that, I need to drill a couple holes in these bad boys so I can put my stops in like I was intending to. I'll do probably two holes, 2 stops, and we'll weld that stuff in. Then we'll weld these down. Cool. Let's weld some nuts onto these. Gonna have to use another magnet again. Could maybe just use a clamp too. Hold on here. Well, hold on. Would the weld clamp fit, or would it just screw us up? I can't really see down into the hole if I use one of those to make sure that I'm straight on. So, again, back to the magnet. Turn my settings down a bit too, because we're using some smaller stuff. So nice. Still works. Looking good. Looking good in the hood, buddy. Maybe the better way to do this. What if I do one of these? Why didn't I just do that? You live and you learn. You live and you learn. I should have cleaned those in like brake clean first because they had some oil on them, but nah, it's all good. Well, we ran ourselves out of time. It's about 3 something now, and I think a good majority of the time was trying to just get the transmission off of this engine and get this engine kind of mock fit in there. Next day I'll be out here, we'll be ready to tack those little stops on, cut our lengths of our H-frame up to size, and then we'll see what size, like once I actually make the H-frame, we'll be able to determine what size of plate that I'm gonna cut out so that we can, you know, attach that plate to the back of our bell housing, and we'll get that fitted. And once that is fitted, then I'll basically just be doing the same thing for the front, and that is when we are pretty much done. I will continuously be working on improvements for this, of course, but I'll just show you the basics of what I have planned and what we'll throw together. And then hopefully very soon we get this engine totally bolted in, connected, and we'll throw the test stand through a test run. See you next time. Howdy folks, Slick here back in the shed. This is now day or portion 4 of us working on the engine run stand build. We're gonna continue tacking on the little stop portions of where our H-frame would be to hold the back of the engine where the bell housing meets up with the block. Make a frame. One more. Put this stick back, keep moving. Yeah, buddy. Now we gotta weld a brace in between these, and then I'm gonna cut a piece of plate to fit in between both of them, and then we'll see if we can just align this engine so that we can, we're gonna have to mess with our supports on the side, of course. I might just disconnect those so I can get the engine kind of hanging here. And since I know exactly what the approximate height I would like it to be, swing the engine over to the middle here, and then once we have our plate up there, we can make some marks of where we're gonna want it to be drilled at, and drill those through, mount the plate here. I'm gonna have to get a bell housing on this too. So let's do that. I'm going to disconnect the engine from those mounts, put a bell housing on it so we can get a better feel of where it needs to sit. Okay, you'll notice the engine decided it didn't want the rest of its coolant in there anymore. So it drained itself onto the floor for me, which is nice. But we got a bell housing on here now. So we got that going for us. Okay, 1/2 inch. All right, whatever. Engine here. What a good working height, you know? Okay, so if I got this approximately leveled out, if we make... All right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna play this a different way, make it easier on ourselves. It involves me taking this off. Haha. Mm-hmm. Only problem with doing it that way is I literally cannot see where I'm cutting. There's no visibility. There is no visibility at all. You know, I would have been better off just trying to eyeball it, to be honest. Good thing this didn't have to be real critical. There's no way. Grinder with a cutoff wheel. Hey man, I don't want to hear it. It'll work for what we're doing. All right, that's what matters. I'm basically just gonna take this piece of plate, mark out where I want my holes to be, drill those out, and then we'll take our uprights. We'll weld this in between the uprights and then put her back down in there, bolt that up. Should be good to go. Make her happen, Cap'n. Okay, let's drill. We'll oversize it a little so we have some room for variability. I get a better idea of how I'm supposed to do this the more and more I go. Just even with some of the basic welds. Like, I'm not saying these ones good, but like that last, I don't know, 20 seconds, I'm starting to understand better. I really haven't had any formal lessons on any of this. It's all me trying to just learn as I go. I watch others, of course, but it's only taking us so far. Okay, now what I would like to do is disconnect the engine crane. Let this sit here under its own. Oh my. All right, let's try her. Proud. That is the word that comes to mind. It's a lot of effort, man. I don't know. Would it be worth it to just buy pretty much the same one off of Summit for 700 bucks? Nah, you be the judge. You be the judge. No. Yeah. Look at that in all of its glory. Or let's look at it from the front. How's that, huh? Last thing I got to do is really just build like an H-frame, something similar up front to hold the radiator, and that's it. The radiator and the gauges, and that's all she wrote. Wow. Okay, What about this? What about, because I still have to make this one side, right? And I don't think the build's completely over until we have it finalized, right? And finalized meaning the basic structure to include where we're going to hold the cooling system and the electrical, right? I want you to be able to see that. And I want it to be somewhat detailed. So if somebody decides they want to do this, you can follow some type of instruction, like a step-by-step, right? It's the whole point. This channel was created with knowledge sharing in mind, right? So that's part of it. As much as I don't want to split this up into another segment, I know that like from the past today and yesterday even, is like 6 hours of like straight footage that I'm going to condense down. But with the part 3, how about we test this engine on the test stand? Test the test stand, and this will be the first engine that runs through it. It's like a 1970-something 302. We'll do that. And I don't feel bad about it because we'll be moving right along and you'll get to see something interesting as well. Just note, maybe this is a little tantalizing for you. Keep it interesting. That backstory is this engine came out of my mom's 1964.5 Mustang, which is sitting in pieces, and I'm sure you've seen it in some of the other videos. This engine hasn't run longer than I've been alive. That car had been sitting in pieces for probably 30 plus years. I figured this would be a great dummy engine to just sit on top of the stand to get everything fitting where we wanted it, plus have the inaugural engine run. Plus it'd be special having this function as the first engine ever test run on the test stand. Keeps it interesting and hopefully you like to watch it. That said, this is it for this portion. Stay tuned for the final in the next one. I promise it'll be the last one for the test stand build and engine run. And you'll get to see this puppy bark off. Hopefully. Probably. It will. As always, thank you for watching and spending a little time with me here in the shed. Take care of yourself